This story, it's big. Convicted murderer Clinton Young could have a chance at freedom.
Developing now at 10, a Midland County man is back home tonight after spending 20 years on death row.
He lies about where he was sitting at.
Yeah, he said he was
in the middle.
In the middle.
He was not in the middle. He was sitting directly behind me.
State appeals court tossed out that conviction and the death sentence last September.
Where they decide if somebody's guilty or not, and then there's also a sentencing part of the trial.
Case of Clinton Young. In April 2003, the life of 19-year-old Clinton Young took a tragic turn when he was convicted of two slayings that occurred in November 2001 in Texas. Despite maintaining his innocence throughout the trial, Young was sentenced to demise. His co-defendants testified against him, receiving lenient sentences in exchange for their testimony, later revealed to be false. After enduring 18 years on demise row in solitary confinement, Clinton's conviction and demise sentence were overturned by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in September 2021.
This story, it's big. Convicted murderer Clinton Young could have a chance at freedom.
The appellate court, depending on what the reason is, can either send the case back.
The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals tossed out his capital murder conviction and death sentence.
Where they decide if somebody's guilty or not, and then there's also a sentencing part of the trial.
Young has been on death row since 2003, convicted of a Midland County murder in which he insists he was framed.
The discovery of egregious prosecutorial misconduct played a pivotal role in this decision. Shockingly, it was revealed that the prosecutor handling Clinton's case had been working secretly as a law clerk for the judges overseeing his trial and appeals. Following this groundbreaking ruling, Clinton was released on bond in January 2022 with the assistance of the Clinton Young Foundation. Remarkably, he became the first former demise row inmate to secure bond. However, his freedom was short-lived, as in August 2022, he was arrested again for the same slaying he had been indicted for previously. Despite facing adversity once more, the foundation stepped in, securing Clinton's release on bond yet again. Currently, he awaits his new trial while experiencing the taste of freedom, a stark contrast to the confines of his prison cell. Clinton's release from custody marked a momentous occasion, nearly 20 years after his wrongful conviction. Walking out of the Midland County Detention Center on January 21, 2022, Clinton was greeted by the embrace of his sister and the support of the foundation's legal director, Merelle Pointier.
Developing now at 10, a Midland County man is back home tonight after spending 20 years on death row.
What's up, everybody?
Nearly 20 years ago, a Midland County jury found Clinton Young guilty of capital murder.
And just being able to touch grass and, look at the sun without looking through prison bars.
State appeals court tossed out that conviction and the death sentence last September.
The foundation played a crucial role, crowdfunding contributions to cover a portion of the cash bail required for Clinton's release. In a poignant moment captured on video and shared on the foundation's Facebook page, Clinton stepped onto the grass, removing his sneaker and sock, symbolizing his journey from confinement to liberation. "It's not a win until my feet touch grass," he reflected, embodying the profound significance of his newfound freedom. Reflecting on his harrowing ordeal, Clinton expressed gratitude for his release and the opportunity to reunite with his loved ones. In an interview with Midland television station KMID, he articulated the emotional impact of his wrongful imprisonment. "I was on demise row for over 20 years for a crime that I didn't commit," he recounted. "Just being able to touch grass and to look at the sun without looking through prison bars, man, it's a blessing. It's overwhelming," he added, struggling to find the right words to capture the depth of his emotions. Proof of innocence. John G. Hyde, the Midland County judge, found Young guilty in 2003 of kidnapping and double slaying, and Young was given the demise penalty. The evidence of David Page, an acknowledged participant in the slaying which implicated Young, was the basis for his conviction. During the 19-year trial and state court appeals period that spanned from 2000 to 2019, Assistant District Attorney Ralph Petty, who was part of Young's prosecution team, worked half-time as a law clerk to Midland County judges and full-time as a prosecutor. The defense was not informed of the plan by Petty and DA's office or any of the county courts. Throughout Young's trial and subsequent trial court appeals, Petty played this dual role. He appeared in court to defend Young's conviction and sentence during this period, but he also served as the court's legal clerk in the background, offering advice on how to handle the problems. According to court documents, Petty authored the state's pleadings opposing Young's application and appeared in person as the prosecutor at the 2006 evidentiary hearing when Young's state post-conviction appeal was pending before Hyde. Petty once more worked as the trial court's law clerk and prosecutor when the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals gave Young permission to file a second habeas appeal 4 years later. Judge Robert Moore heard the case of Young this time, and evidence hearings were held between January and July of 2010. In those proceedings, Petty was the state's representative. As prosecutor, he filed a suggested order that attempted to have the claims Young had been given permission to pursue dismissed. Judge Moore accepted the proposed ruling precisely, compensating Petty for his labor as a court clerk. Petty petitioned Judge Moore for an ending warrant after Young's federal habeas corpus petition was turned down by the federal courts.
Next step in his case is up to the prosecutors. We have not heard from them yet.
All the stuff I have in my favor, and they don't want me to get it before the court because they don't want me to win. See, it's not about justice.
Unknowns at this point in time, but criminal cases, they can get tossed out on appeal, as was the case with Clifton Young.
I did say something about the hospital. I said, look, man, we could just drop them off outside the emergency room and take off.
Doesn't necessarily mean that either side is bound by the evidence they used the first time around.
The Midland prosecutors acquired a bench warrant and transported Page to the county prison before Young was able to stop the hearing. According to court documents, Page was then surreptitiously interviewed by Midland District Attorney Laura Nodolf, who revealed that Page, not Young, had abducted one of the victims at gunpoint. Then he had given a false statement claiming that Young had suggested slitting the victim's throat, and that he had given a false statement denying having purchased the gloves on which the residue was later discovered hours before the victim was shot. Despite Petty's winning trial court argument opposing the lifting of the demise penalty, the Midland prosecutors kept that incriminating information. Young arrived 8 days after his ending. On October 18, 2017, the trial court was instructed to hold an evidentiary hearing over the accused person's claim of providing false or perjured testimony by the TCCA, which also issued an order suspending his ending. A new prosecutor was appointed to the case when Petty retired. And in August 2019, the Midland District Attorney's Office called Young's attorney to inform them that Petty's dual involvement in the case and the judicial conflicts of interest for the first time. The Midland District Attorney's Office subsequently made the decision to leave the case, citing Petty's agreement with the court as a direct violation of professional guidelines. Philip McFurlow, the district attorney for Dawson County, was chosen by the TCCA to represent the state in the case after the motion was approved. Senior Judge Sid Harley recommended on April 26, 2021 that the TCCA overturn Young's conviction, citing shocking and brazen prosecution misconduct that destroyed any semblance of a fair trial. The TCCA approved Young's request for a fresh trial on September 22, 2021. The court ruled unanimously that the applicant's whole case was contaminated from the beginning by judicial and prosecutorial misconduct, namely in the form of a hidden employment relationship between the trial judge and the prosecutor who appeared before him. There is only one legal conclusion that can be supported by the evidence in this case. The applicant was denied his due process rights to a fair trial and an unbiased judge. The district attorney for Dawson County will now have to decide whether to try Young again or drop the charges against him after the TCCA sent the matter back to the trial court. With a bond of $150,000 granted by the trial court, Young was eventually freed. Injustice unveiled. The case of Clinton Young, a man who has been on demise row since 2003 for a slaying he insists he did not commit, took a dramatic turn when the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals overturned his capital slaying conviction and demise sentence. The decision came after it was revealed that one of the prosecutors involved in his case also worked for the judge presiding over it, leading to allegations of judicial and prosecutorial misconduct. Clinton Young, now 38 years old, has spent nearly 2 decades on demise row, convicted of a slaying in Midland County, Texas. Throughout his legal battles, he has maintained his innocence, alleging that he was framed for the crime.
The spokesperson for the County of Midland tells me that the county's courts will not be responsible for Young's trial.
Just reverses the sentence, and you can come back and just do the punishment phase of the trial.
Where is everybody sitting in the car? Doyle's under the wheel, obviously. Doyle's on the wheel.
He lies about where he was sitting at.
Yeah, he said he was
in the middle.
He was
not in the middle. He was sitting directly behind me.
The case was then reassigned to Dawson County District Attorney Philip Furlow in 2019. The revelation about the prosecutor's dual role as a county prosecutor and a legal advisor to the judge shed light on the extent of the misconduct. Weldon Petty, the prosecutor in question, had been working for the county while simultaneously moonlighting for the district judges for over a decade. His involvement in Young's case, both as a prosecutor opposing defense motions and as a draftsman of recommendations for the judges, raised serious ethical concerns. Clinton Young's case has been fraught with controversy from the beginning. Accused at the age of 18 of participating in a drug-related crime spree that resulted in the fatal slaying of 2 men, Young has consistently maintained his innocence. His co-defendant, David Page, testified against him at trial, implicating Young in the slaying of Samuel Petrie. However, Young has adamantly denied these allegations, claiming he was asleep during the crime. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.